Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, October 4th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. First off, a couple of clarification points. Number one, the price you see over here will still be moving, and the candlestick you see there will still be moving around. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time, and I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. And then second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each one of these candlesticks here, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, FNGR, did this on Friday as I included in the watch list. So you can see these annotations down here. Talked about that bullish pattern, and yeah, I got a huge move in the upwards direction. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete these lines out as they serve their purpose for now, and now get some of the newer levels mapped out. So the level here that I think everybody has pretty much probably drawn into place, so I don't want to come across like this is a great discovery on my part or some special skill. I assure you a lot of people have drawn that trend line just like that. And I make that comment because when a lot of people are watching the same level and wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movement. So while there are no guarantees in the market, my point here is that is it plausible? Is it valid to think that if the price comes up here and breaks up through that trend line, that break in and of itself could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a plausible outcome to think. As far as levels of support are concerned, two main levels stand out. First one right there at the bottom part of that little consolidation at 515. And then if there is a deeper pullback, the next key level of support down there right around $4.55. And then really if you just want to make a pattern out of it, you have your resistance, you have your support, you have the big explosion right there, and you have yourselves a nice bull pennant pattern. But any way you want to look at it, great volume today, great price movement. So let's see how this continues to play out on the week. Next one, FNHC, penny stock with a whole lot of volume today and has now formed a good solid pattern here. So going back to the whole idea of self-fulfilling prophecies and a lot of people watching the same thing, in my mind, we have that here too, because you got to think that a lot of people have noticed this trend line here and have drawn that down like that, and then have also noticed the fact that, yeah, even though it's pulled back here a little bit, you do still have a potential area of support right there around the 48-cent mark, which then again allows you to get this pattern into play. So we have our, whoops, that was a pretty bad line there. We have our resistance, we have our support, we have the big momentum move right here, and once again put the golf hole down there to make it a little bit more visual, and we have ourselves another bull pennant pattern. So maybe you like to play penny stocks, maybe you don't. Well, at least if you don't want to play penny stocks, you have that FNGR one. But if you do like to play penny stocks and you like bull pennant patterns, here you go, good solid movement. And just to remind you, guarantees, no, but is it plausible to think that if the price breaks to the upside, that in and of itself could create some good solid upwards buying pressure? That's certainly a valid thought process to have. Next one, TSLA Tesla, and rough day on this one with the news out, so I'm going to go ahead and delete these lines out. Yes, they still pertain, they're just not relevant anymore, and I don't want to cause clutter and confusion because there's lines everywhere you look. But now we have a couple of new levels that, once again, with that theme of self-fulfilling prophecies, you got to think, because this is not a difficult level to draw out at all. But this level down here at 241 today, you can see on Tesla, has held several times. Didn't quite hit it during the opening 30 minutes, but later on in the day came down here, and you can see just time after time, got right around this general area and did indeed hold. And then with the last 30 minutes, which you can see right now, another red candle, it becomes a more than valid question to say, okay, is this price coming back down here to retest those lows? And then brings up the secondary question, and what's going to happen right there. And that's the idea of a watch list, to find unique, to find interesting situations, and not randomly rush out and buy, but to watch and see how the price behaves and see if the price ultimately does behave in a way that fits your personal risk tolerance and strategy. And that's the interesting dynamic here, is that 241 mark. You got to think that all sorts of people are watching it. I know I will be. So we'll see what happens if the price does go down to that level. If there is some sort of bounce, then key area of resistance, keep an eye on, is going to be that trend line right there. So keep an eye on that. And then just from a pattern standpoint, we have the reverse of what we've had. So we have our resistance, we have our support, we have the momentum move down. So this would be known as a bear pennant pattern. Now, as I've said, just because something's a bullish pattern doesn't mean that the price is for sure going to go up. Same is true here. Just because something's a bearish pattern does not mean the price is going to go down. But I don't think anybody would be shocked to see the price continue to go down with just a continuation pattern of the bear pennant. But we'll see how Tuesday all unfolds. Next one, AMC, and overall a good day, and we got some things that we got to get into play here and for some considerations here. So first off, got to give credit where credit's due. Overall, entire day long, look at that. Nice, beautiful, uptrending move right there. you got to give full credit where it's due. So let me change that to green to represent more so the support part. But on the flip side, the price did break down below this area, this green line right here at 690. And a foundational rule in charting states when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance. And you can see that played out perfectly today. Price got up around there, rejected, price directly hit it right there. And then as I speak, the price is approaching that level once again. So overall, yes, the price did make a nice bounce. But taking a step back, and I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, which, piggybacks off of the Tesla comments, is when you make this all the same, when you turn this into a pattern, so we have our support, we have our resistance, we have the momentum move down, we have ourselves another bear pennant pattern. So like I said, just because it's bearish does not mean the price is for sure going to go down. My point here is don't get too excited. I mean, get excited because, yeah, the price did start to trend upwards. There's no doubt about that. But just be skeptical because within the grand scheme of things, there is still a bear pennant pattern, which, once again, does not mean the price is going to go down. But just don't get overly excited because there's still a lot of work that needs to be done. But overall, yes, AMC did have a nice bounce today. Can this bounce continue? Can this bounce, destroy the bear pennant pattern? Let's see what Tuesday has to offer. Next one, ticker symbol SOBR. And what we have here is, once again, another solid pattern with a nice uptrend. Yeah, there's a bit of a pullback here, but you can't have these patterns unless there are pullbacks. And that's why you have those lower parts of those patterns to ensure that the pullback doesn't spin too far out of control. But as I've said, I don't mean to repeat myself. I'm assuming a lot of people have drawn that trend line right there. And there's a lot of people that have noticed that, this was the former breakout area right there. So you have a potential area of support, which so far the price seems to be holding above. So let me get that changed to green. And then let me just make this all one color. So we have our resistance, we have our support, you have the momentum move right here. So you have yourselves another bull pennant pattern. So if you like to play bull pennants, if you like to play stocks down below the $5 mark, here you go. Real quick, I want to take a break and personally invite you to sign up for this free live online training that I'm offering later on in the week. So if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more about the tool, then certainly get signed up for the free training. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you've been enjoying what you've seen and you want to learn more, then certainly get signed up for the free training. Next one, AMD, and this will mean a bit more to those of you that watched the video from Friday when I included in the watch list. But I talked about that trend line and how it was just so crazy and it was a popular stock. And you did see, got the breakout of that trend line here. And then you got a very nice bounce. And no doubt about it, very, very impressive bounce. That does now bring about the question, is this a true bounce? Is it a dead cat bounce? And in my mind, the level that will help us answer that question is right there at the $65 mark. Why is that the case? Well, movements with genuine power that are truly bullish, well, the price is going to make progress forward. Not go straight up because nothing can go straight up, but at least make progress, which leads to, okay, Clay, well, how are you defining quote unquote progress? Which is a great question. Why I love charts, because it allows you to take words and make them very visual. So when I say quote unquote progress, I mean $65, because if the price does come down there, bounces around and then heads back up, what do you have in that situation? Well, you'd have a set of lows right there. You'd have lows there. You'd have lows there. You envision those as stair steps. And there you go. You have stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. Whereas on the flip side of things, if the price comes down here and breaks down through 65, now what do you have? Well, you have the price having gone right back into the sideways channel where it already was. And not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that go back to where they were, not exactly a sign of genuine power or true strength. Again, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but that is why that $65 mark is very, very helpful in terms of answering the question, is today's bounce a genuinely strong bounce? In terms of levels of resistance, keep an eye on that resistance trend line right there. But yeah, I think the most important dynamic, at least in my opinion, is, yeah, good solid bounce, but is it the start of something bigger? Does it have genuine power behind it? Let's see if the price can show some signs of progress. Next one here, CCL, and like AMD, did this one on Friday, so that's where the red line is coming from. And not nearly as clean. It is still interesting, and it goes back to the comment I made earlier. That's the idea of a watch. Just find those interesting, find unique situations. And what's interesting is, okay, the price has finally broken through that nasty, nasty downtrending line, which once again earlier on the day was presenting problems. But what gets confusing here and what gets a little, I don't know, is, yeah, it broke through it, but now it's just still going sideways. But it has broken through it. So it throws out this question of, okay, so is this some sort of bottom? And it might not be, which is why risk management is so important. But to be fair, that is a two-sided coin, because, okay, well, maybe this is some sort of bottom, and then the price goes on and gets some sort of worthwhile bounce. So it just circles back to, all right, an interesting situation. Now, for you particularly, maybe you're like, Clay, no, I don't find this interesting at all. and that's fine. I respect your opinion, but there's definitely reason to find it interesting because, yes, okay, the price has finally broken the trend line. It is going sideways, and I wish I could say that just because something goes sideways, that means it's the bottom, but yeah, trading's not quite that easy. However, again, it goes back to, is that at least a logical? Is it a valid thought process to have? Absolutely. So yeah, interesting situation. Is CCL getting ready for some sort of bigger bounce to the upside? It's plausible, so we'll see how the next couple of days all go. Next, AAPL Apple, and same general idea as these other ones that I've talked about. And is this bounce nice? Yes, absolutely. Is it strong? That remains to be seen. So what do we have to do? Say it with me. Well, we have to define, can the price show some signs of progress? And in this situation, my definition of quote-unquote progress is right there, 140.75. I'm not going to go through it all, but you understand, as I talked about, if the price stays above there, then you are going to have those stair steps that are progressing in the upwards direction, and that's what you want to see. In terms of areas of resistance, still have this level that I talked about from previously. It is getting closer and closer right there at the 145 mark, so keep an eye on that. But yeah, once again, in my opinion, main dynamic, most interesting dynamic is, okay, great bounce, but is there genuine power behind it? Let's see if the price can make progress, and once again, progress being defined as that 140.75 mark. Next one here, TQQQ. Now, the next two I'm going to talk about are ETFs, and they're just the exact opposite of things. And I want to go over them because it gives you just a preference of how do you like to play, your setups. Do you like to play breakouts or do you like to play pullbacks? And this will give you a way to go about it. But the way TQQQ works is if the NASDAQ market goes up, this one is also going to go up. And with today's price movement, we have a very, very well-defined level, and I'm just going to call it that self-fulfilling prophecy point because I assure you a lot of people have drawn that trend line. So if you like to play breakouts and if you think that the NASDAQ is going to keep on rising, well, then keep a very close eye on that $21 mark. And as I've said, guarantees, absolutely not, but is it plausible to think that the price gets up there and pushes up through it, that break could create that much more buying pressure? Absolutely. So if you like to play breakouts and if you like to play, and if you think that the NASDAQ is going to keep moving up, then you have a very, very solid, very, very well-defined pattern here on TQQQ. On the flip side, we're now looking at SQQQ, meaning if the NASDAQ market falls, this one will go up. And you can see here, because the NASDAQ went up today, this one actually came down. But look right where it started to build that nice green candle the last 30 minutes, right there at essentially the $56 mark, which the power of charts was a previous bounce point. Didn't hit it exactly, but generally speaking, and then today started to bounce, and you can see right here, last 30 minutes, big green candle, big volume. Does that mean it's guaranteed to keep going up? Of course not. No guarantees. But once again, it's plausible to think, okay, maybe this thing is getting ready to bounce. And while it's not a breakout setup, it is a pullback setup. So if you're somebody that likes to play pullbacks, like to play potential bounces, well, then this one also gives you that at a very well-defined level. So once again, going along with the argument of a self-fulfilling prophecy, you also have that right here. So at the end of the day, it goes back to, what do you think is going to happen with the NASDAQ? Now, maybe you're not sure and you want to wait for confirmation in one direction or another, and that's totally valid too. But like I said, these ones right now, SQQQ and TQQQ, are giving you some very in-your-face type setups, which is sometimes the best way to go about it because it brings you those potential self-fulfilling prophecy type movements. So that wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here and you want to learn more, then certainly get signed up for the free training. Thursday, October 6th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I hope to see you there. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. Leave a comment down below. Everybody, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good one.